if you're a lady, you must be pregnant. If you're a man, you must impregnate each other.
These are the fears that I have.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Love Corner Show. I'm your host Janet Kaluki. In case you're new here, this is the Love Corner Show. Here we talk about issues regarding love, that is romantic relationship, friendship, marriage, parenthood, and everything life. Today we shall be talking about parenthood, and with me I have three gentlemen that who will be sharing their fatherhood journey. And guys, I would like to appreciate our sponsors for this video, Pickle Point Limited. They are located at Ruby Plaza next to the new Malindi Low Courts. They are on second floor, door number SF3. They are a real estate company and survey company. If you have a land and you want to ascertain the measurement of the land, you want to do searches, they'll do for you due diligence, that is searches, go to the ground and ascertain your measurement on the title, whether it matches the one on the ground, and they do transfer. Guys, guess what? Their title registration takes only 7 days. Yes, I'm going to leave all the details in the description bar. Make sure you go and check them out, guys. And without further ado, allow me to allow my guests introduce themselves.
Janet, thank you so much for having us here. For me, I think this is my second time in the show. To the viewers, my name is Conrad Atiang. I am a very proud father. I think I'm here because of that. And in our culture, we don't count children. So I will not say how many they are, but there are many children. I normally go by the name of a certain radio presenter on Ghetto Radio called Bonoko, who calls himself Baba ya Watoto Wengi. I think that I have now reached that level where I can confidently call myself Baba ya Watoto Wengi.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Hi viewers, and thank you so much to the host. My name is Gilbert Asuri, and just contrary to my colleague, I think I love tracking how many kids I have because of the aspect of inheritance. So I would say I'm a proud dad of one, and I'm happy to be on this show.
Interesting. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Janet, for having us here. I go by the name Eric Weje, and as my colleague Atiang has said, in our culture, we don't count the number of kids. What I can say, I am a father of many, and many more are still yet to come. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, I want you to take me back to the first time you were introduced to fatherhood. Can you remember the feeling? How did you feel?
How did I feel? It was confusing. Mostly because I wasn't ready. But I had a partner that we were in sync in terms of where we wanted to go, how we wanted the future to look like. And so it was much easier to accept the decision. It wasn't, we weren't sure about what we were doing, but at least we were sure that we needed to keep the baby. We needed to make the conscious decision to live with pregnancy. Yeah, all through. So would I say I was excited? No, I wasn't excited, but I wasn't also sad. I was in a place where I was willing to experiment with it. I really wanted to really explore because I wasn't ready. I was looking at it and I asked myself, is there really a moment of readiness? And I thought, because I wasn't ready and it has come and I don't have a roadmap towards it, I said, I'm going to go in head on and let's do it. And that is how the journey began.
Oh, I've never actually thought of it before. But reflecting now, I would say one word was I wasn't ready. I never thought that it would be that early. Maybe I wasn't ready because I was still very young at that moment. So it was a confusing moment. It was a roller coaster of a lot of things. Of now that fatherhood comes in, means that I'll be taking responsibilities for both the kid to come plus the mother to be. And for me, it had never been part of my thought process, and it's never something that I had actually sat down and thought of. So the aspect of and the moment of being told that you actually you don't get to be told you're going to be a father, you tend to be told zimechelewa ama hasijafika. So so that statement was like, oh wow, so here we are. But I think yeah, with time and everything, went through the roller coaster and everything. But for me, how did you feel? I felt not ready. Yeah.
All right.
What I can say is I'll start from first. What is fatherhood? The act of being a father. Two things. You either become a father by having your own kid, or by adopting, or getting a wife who has a kid, and you start thinking of how you want to become a father to this kid. That is one. Two. Way back in 2017, that is when I was told I will be a father. What comes into mind? Number one, your mind goes into space. You don't know what to think, you don't know what to do. How will we move this journey? But as it's always being said, whatever comes, we'll deal with it the way it comes. And yeah, it's exciting. You are on and off fantasizing every other time. When you are alone, you fantasize, how will this thing be? When you're with people, everything disappears. But the real thing comes when now it is there. Then you start planning. So it's all about excitement and on and off anxiety and such like stuff. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. And I want to ask, after becoming a dad, how has it like helped you to shift your mindset on how you live life?
For me, I think life changes big time after the baby arrives. Number one is the environment must change. If you are living, for instance, in like people who live single life, when you are just with your partner alone, it is much more simpler. You have to live. You can live in a one bedroom, for instance. So the size of the room will change. You must now start accepting visitors. So if you are not so much of a social person, people want to see the child after about 6 weeks, you must be able to accommodate people if you are not a people person. And to be honest, some people don't like guests. Relatives want to visit, so you start absorbing the concept of living with relatives. You might also consider a house help, which was not part of your life, so your budget also increases. The budget increases in many, many facets, and I think that your life must change. How it changes in particular is in terms of finances, in terms of now proper planning of finances, budgeting, in terms of lifestyle changes. For instance, if you are going out every day, you must now at some point to show support. In fact, in the first months, like 6 or so months, even going out becomes completely out of your lifestyle. You stay at home. You live with you want to be part of that experience. You must also show support for your spouse. You stay at home with them. There's a thing that happens after a child has been born called colic acid, where the stomach aches for about 3 weeks or so.
Stomach of who? The child.
The child, yes, and the child cries throughout the whole night. I think that that moment is a very difficult moment for both parents. And I think the person who takes the hit the most is the mother. And the presence of a father at that moment is very critical. So your life changes. And it changes in very, very high magnitude that for me I really can't really specifically point. This is exactly what changes immediately you have a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So generally, a lot of things do change. Way back, I love history because I was a history student, but I changed to science. That is, but that is the story of another day. In 2018, 1st of April, I will always remember this date because I had colleagues who are going for the deep sea, and they are going to see dolphins and such like stuff. But that was my day. That was the day we were to receive the king, as it might be called. Yeah. So a lot of things changed. I had to miss this trip going to deep sea because the king was coming on board, and once he came, very many things changed. Number one, you always have to be there for them. So in terms of going out, in terms of work-wise, in fact, as I can recall, I was never given a paternity leave. It was cancelled the moment I was given, and I was very furious about it. But at the end of the day, this is somebody's job. However much I tried, I was told no. So the most important thing is it changes your everything, how you relate, the time you go home, how you relate with the family, and very many stuffs. So yeah, a lot of things change. Yeah.
All right.
For me, I would say change is subjective, and also for me, I feel it comes in depending with what bond you have with your kid, and that affects a lot. So I think for me, the presence of my daughter, or the introduction of my daughter to my life, meant that there are things that I had to think about before I do anything. My perspective and thought process changed because initially it was all about me, and maybe let's say the mother would be second option. It really never meant like I could really give it 100% thought. So it was kind of a selfish thing for me. But the introduction of the daughter meant that I could not think of the daughter without thinking of the mother, right? So that changed my perspective in terms of a lot of things, in terms of how responsible do I need to get, how reckless, if I need to be reckless, do I, to what limit do I take the recklessness to, and also the aspect of now she's here, what does it mean to me, to the mother, and also to my family, because now that introduces the aspect of how do I introduce and make my kid comfortable, how do I protect the kid, and also it makes you start thinking of your family, because at that moment you ask about your family, you think of your mother, your father, probably your brothers, but by then your kid and the mother becomes your first priority and responsibility. There's a shift in terms of what is family, and that is when you start to know that, oh, now I have a family that looks up on me. And like my colleagues have said, there are certain things that will need to change. I'm a football fan, so at times I had to do away with it's UEFA Champions League final or whatever. That didn't count again, because here there was this queen that has come and has been introduced into my life, and I think that aspect of how you bond is very, very special, because I think for me it was an aspect of when she's there, even if she just raises the hand, you see how kids want to move and all that, I'd be like, why is she moving, what's happening? So I think that process of you become too caring, and I think for me I was too caring to the extent like if she ever cried, I was like, before the mother does, like, no, let me see what's happening first before you come in, right? So I think that you tend to father tends to tends to make you realize some of your personalities and characteristics that you didn't even know. I never thought that I'm such a vulnerable individual, but the introduction of that, I felt like, man, you're not a gangster. You really not a gangster as you seem to be. Yes.
So you say it takes away your gangster point.
Man, points is the
Wow, that is so interesting to hear.
The most important thing is just the bonding, because that is what shifts everything around. The world moves 360 degrees one time. Yeah, and now you have to think like that.
Interesting. Now I want to take you to now. What are some of the values that you want to instill in your kid? You know, some of the values that you want when they grow up to always like think and know, like when they do this or think like this, it's my dad, or you know, who made me this way. You know, like you can be there like a reference point every time. Yeah. So
Values.
yes.
For me, I think the most important value I would want my child to have
Mhm.
is just the sense of, the first one is the sense of family,
Okay.
that I belong to a particular family, and that this person is my father, this person is my father, these are my siblings, these are my aunts, and these are my uncles. In the society we have today, there are children who do not know their relatives completely. There are children who do not know the relationship of siblings, the detailed, intricate relationship of brother and sister is lacking. The siblings who don't talk to each other completely. They are not enemies, but that was never inculcated in them. And I think that is a very critical value of bringing up children. That they should always relate with each other, and they should always be close, and that they should always be together as a team. That family team works so much to deal with the common problems that we have in society today. For instance, we live in a very depressed society, mentally disturbed. And the easiest way to actually handle that disturbed society is if you know that I have a sibling that I can talk to, or I know I can go to my mom and tell her that these are troubling me. That is not there. That is one value I would really wish that any father passes down to their children. But the second one
Mm-hmm.
is integrity, respect. We don't have that in the society today. We live in a society where people believe that they should speak up against everything, and sometimes we lose the respect in doing so. We just want to talk back because we are right, because you are wrong, but we lose the simple aspect of communicating with respect. And I think that we are in a society where so many children have no respect, and it sounds okay. The society is accepting disrespect as a way of life, and they are saying that, like for instance, I'm not attacking any generation, but for instance, the generation, our generation, the millennials, and the generation after us, Gen Z, have this thing of mimi ni Gen Z and nitakushow. I think that is not the way to look at how to communicate, how to relate life at a personal, human, societal perspective. I feel that not all of them do that, but I feel that the whole approach of showing things with disrespect is a culture that we must inculcate in children. And if a child grows up with respect all the way up, it's going to be, we are going to have a future of respectful members of the society. I spoke about integrity, then I changed to respect. I think somehow they move together.
Okay.
But integrity, as opposed to respect, is purely about living an honest life, seeking to do that which is right, especially when no one is watching. How are we raising children? We are raising children to tell them that which is wrong, but we are not telling them that which is right. So that a child will eat sugar and will wipe their face and will come and tell you that I did not eat it, and you can see it. I think that is lack of integrity. And lack of integrity is what has led the whole society to accept corruption as a practice in our day to day life. So maybe we can change and teach our children to live a life full of honesty, real values. It could be Christian, it could be Islamic, it could be Buddhist, it could be Rastafarian. But all those faiths and beliefs and religions try to teach integrity. Live according to your means. Do good and do good to everyone, regardless of their class or societal ladder. Do good and do it, especially when no one is watching. We are at a time when, for me to do something good, there has to be a camera recording. If I'm to give my brother something, if
You
I
have to
pick
show it
someone
off.
on the street
You have to show it off.
and I need to clean him up and dress him, the video must be there. If I'm doing a visit at the children's remand home, the video must be there. How I wish that this whole reporting type of life, initially it was good. When we started this culture of recording when we are doing charity, it was because the person who was financing it or the people who have contributed it needed reports.
They want to see.
They wanted to see.
Mm.
But why did they want to see? Why can't we be trusted with money? Integrity. Lack of integrity.
Okay.
And that is why now when we do good, we want a camera to be there so that people are able to see that we are doing good. It was an initial good idea, but we have now changed it to be a show off. We are only doing good when it is being seen. But deep down inside of our hearts, we are impure. We are dirty. We do not want to help. We are not helping out of a good heart. I think maybe we can try and teach children that. Lastly, there's a lesson on Uhuru Gardens here in Malindi that let's learn the language of love from our children. That is how it is. Children love better than us humans. I think as we teach them something, values, they should teach us. We should learn from them.
Yeah. Um, I think I would agree with what my colleague has just said in terms of values. I think one for me is that is very important. It's family. I think it's important for people to know about family as much as the dynamics of what family is has really changed right now. It's not more of blood or anything like that. But I think sometimes we take it out of context because for me, family will remain family, even for those that of us that usually say my friends are more of family and all that. But remember, one thing that is very true is, for example, by God forbid, if someone passes, all this comes back to your actually family, that is blood family that you are related with. So for me, it's on how do we build on that, right? Right now, you see, it's easy for people to be like, oh, it's Xmas, it's New Year, I'm gonna be having fun, and then you see that people mostly move into having fun with their friends and everything, of which sometimes this friendship is not actually built on reality, but build on what you can provide as an individual. So that is one, and then two, and that is one thing that for me has been a success, because one thing I love about my daughter is she knows each and every person within our family. She understands the lineage. She'll tell you, this is my uncle, this is my aunt, this is my cousin, and this is who this person, how we relate. Secondly, I think for me would be gratitude and contentment. I think that is one thing that is very important right now, because we see that there are a lot of cases in terms of even family members like fathers, mothers, taking their own lives. The reason is because there's an aspect of gratitude that is missing. People being contented with what they currently have, appreciate that, and then be like, I am gonna go for more. Not because I don't want to have this because Janet has it, but I want to have this because it's gonna help me in this way. So right now it's an aspect of a lot of competition. People not really looking at what is my capacity, what is my capability, right? And I don't think that is one thing that I would like to see my daughter struggle with, because I know that is what is going to change into all these aspect of immorality. Right now we have a lot of people that we sing wakona our babas and everything. Why? It's because they want more than what they currently have, and on how they want it is not the right way of getting that. So I think for me, my kid being contented with what she currently has, not being final, but also setting the right strategies on how to get what she desires, is what is a value that I really want to have. And secondly, it's respect. The reality is respect opens a lot of doors in a lot of spaces, right? Because sometimes people just say like I can't. No, you see, sometimes people will be like, let's do this, and then you'll be like, can we involve someone? And then they'll be like, no, 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 let's not. Why? That guy is this, and this. You see. So I think for me, respect is good, and personally, I'm not that individual that actually supports the aspect of a young kid telling me, Uncle Mambo, what are you telling me, Uncle Mambo? Right? I think the aspect of shikamo, habari yako, those are things that actually show respect, because this aspect of mambo, poa, sometimes they do not give us sasa. So you see, we it's like we're in the same age category. We've normalized a lot of things that we say they are okay, but in reality, these are the same things that come back and bite us. Because this kid, I'll go with this kid back to my rural places, and she'll be there telling my mom, who is her grandma, nyanya mambo, nyanya sasa. So and then your mom will be there looking at you like, what the hell is this? Is this really my granddaughter that is doing this? Apart from that, I think respect is an aspect of, you see, when we are growing up, there was that aspect of, if you are someone who is older than you comes, even before they tell you that I need to sit on that chair, you are the one that is going to be like, tafadhali kaa hapa. But right now you go to spaces and then you see a father or a mother telling you that usikae hapo, hiyo ni kiti ya dadi atalia. What are we saying? What are we teaching these kids? Daddy is the child, or mommy is the daughter. So what are we really teaching these kids? And then one last thing for me is the value of being able to understand, create boundaries. I think it is important, because the reality is, as we are growing up, and maybe some of us have been through that, there has been an aspect of exploitation from our parents and people that are older than us in different aspects. So I think that is something that I would I would really want to protect my kids from, being able to be respectful, but at the same time being able to create boundaries. Not being respectful to the aspect of, right now for me, uh, no one sends my daughter cigara, no matter who you are. Please do not ever send my daughter cigara or anything related to alcohol or that. That is how I'm building. That is how I'm building that, right? So that have a certain culture that a kid will be able to know that this is wrong and this is right, not just normalizing everything. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
One thing I can add on what they've said, because everything revolves around the community we stay in and the family. On to respect, they say respect begets respect. So these young kids of ours, one thing I love and like about them is they learn by what they see. If the community or the society where we stay, we are the type of people who just throw words here and there, believe you me, tomorrow there are the guys who will pick that up and they'll know that is very normal. The other thing about the family is, which I can just add, is I believe when I was growing up, it was allowed, or it was a routine thing for even our neighbors to punish us. But currently, what is happening is, I believe we are going so much into the Western culture, in that even if a neighbor punishes your kid, whenever your kid is wrong, you'll be the first person to go knock that door and ask your neighbor, why have you punished my kid? Because I am the mom or I'm the dad, you're not allowed to punish. And I believe we are going to an extent whereby, I believe in the next few years, whereby the kids will be able to sue their parents for punishing them for doing the wrong thing, which is what we watch. How I wish we go back to our traditional African culture, whereby it is the responsibility of the society or the community we stay in to help bring up this kid in a good and informed way, a straight way, so that whenever this kid grows up, he or she knows that this is right, this is wrong. Now, my point is, the other value I would wish to inculcate in these young kids coming up is, number one, empathy. Because I believe with empathy, you can solve a lot of problems. I like this musician, the late Michael Jackson. He once sang, there's this song, he says, making the world a better place. If we are empathetic and use that to make this world a better place and the kids learn from us, believe you me, even the kids to their kids will continue doing the same. And the generations will be coming up without any other problem. So the importance of the family is a very important thing. We have respect. You have to know your family, because currently I can tell you, and my colleague can confirm, where we come from, they believe most of us come to the coast and disappear here. And they never go back there. Whenever they go back there, they find their rural home is it is bushes. So by the time they clear, in terms of funerals, it's hell in a mess. So it's very important to the family is the most important thing so far that I can just add and stress on it as one of the values that these young kids need to know. This is my cousin, this is my sister. Because then we've heard of stories where cousins marry each other. Why? They never knew. They went to the same school and found themselves there. They don't know their relatives. They end up marrying each other. Now, to some point, that is a taboo, which has to be, that is a curse, not a curse, which has to be broken. And you have to get now wale wazee who can break that curse. Now, currently, as we are growing up, I believe we have very or very few elderly men who know how these things are done, because even the traditions that were there before are being washed away with the current Western culture that we watch every day. Yeah, which we believe is the right thing.
So on that note, you brought me to the next question. I wanted to hear from you guys. What are some of the traditions that you grew up witnessing or you were raised by and you would like to pass them to the next generation, your children? You know, some of family traditions that you think they are very important, that they should be passed to your children. Yes.
I don't come from a family that has so many traditions. But
Not even traditions. It's like a way of life that you saw. Maybe you saw people eating together. Anything that you saw. Yes.
Maybe
that's
you
what,
should say the inculcated family culture.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, that was created in your family.
Mm.
You know, just it cannot be like a tradition. Let's say for
Yeah, I know, I
you,
get
for
you. I
Luyas
was
or
just
your
answering.
Luos, I'm just saying something that you saw in your family that it was being done there,
I
and you're like, oh, this is good. I would like to pick it up and pass to the next generation.
For me, I think what what comes to my mind immediately I hear that question is is the culture of togetherness during the festivities, and from our family perspective. In fact, for me, what one of the holidays that matters to me the most always is the night vigil of crossing into the new year, 31st. And for me, I would, if I was to pick one tradition, because as I've said, we don't have so many traditions. For us, we were just living life as a family. And one of the things that I have come to really, really value that we used to do as a family when we were younger, all the way up to now, is the that you must always be at home between 27th of December. Christmas, you can spend Christmas anywhere, to be very honest. But between 27th and 2nd of January, that one must find you at home. Because the night vigil of waiting for the new year, we have always been at home. And when we are not at home, immediately the year begins, we call each other as a family. And we confirm you have crossed the year well, and we talk. And my mother, if we are all at home together, my mother always prays at midnight and says, let's all rise or all kneel and we pray. And we pray for the year that was, and then we pray for the year that will be. That for me, I think, normally frees me into the new year with faith, with belief. We don't even make New Year resolutions because there's a way my mother puts us all into a new year with so much spiritual strength that you feel that I think I'm ready for this 2025 or 2024. And it's normally a very, very powerful prayer. And after that, everyone is given an opportunity to pray. We all pray. So we all say something about about the year that was. We say something about the year that will be. I think that was our family tradition. It still is, although right now because of adulthood and everything, sometimes of course New Year will find you somewhere else. But when it does find us at home, I know it's gonna happen. And I think I have tried my best to do it also with my family. That if we are not at home and we are together as a family, in wherever we may be, or even here in Malindi, that I must reach out to all my family members, and now in the my children, and expect wish them a new year, and I will even pray with them. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is one of the traditions that I would want to go on with.
As you've been speaking, I've been thinking, is there really a tradition that we have back? But
Yeah.
it has helped me in reflection, and I think there are some traditions that are actually mostly created in a nuclear family that
Yeah.
sometimes you do not see.
Yeah.
And one of these is having time to be all be back at home. There was that culture of at 7, man, you have to be home.
Mm.
You should have washed and you are at home
Mm.
at, by 7. I think that is something that personally I would really like to work on, especially with my family, the nuclear family, because right now you could see if you walk around even in town, you'll see that at 6:30 you see a 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid is still out, and you're wondering like,
what are they looking?
What are they doing? What are their parents with all these cases of sexual assault that is happening to kids and all that, right? Because I feel that is one way of trying to put your kids on toes in terms of responsibility and accountability, that they know if by this time nitakuwa sijafika. And I think I would like to take it back to kama haujaoga haujakula. They were so
Hakuna
very
kukula.
yes. You see, they were very minute things, but then there was some discipline that they were inculcating into us, that they were investing into us. So I think for me that would be one of the things that I would really want to have that should I say a curfew kind of thing on when people should be back at home, especially the kids. It's good. And then one thing that he talked of is the aspect of prayer. My mom is, I don't know why moms are very prayerful, but my mom is also a very prayerful person. Very prayerful. Something that I really do struggle to, and I know it's not only me. A lot of us men struggle with things to do with prayer and all that. But I think it's something that I would also want to have it inculcated. Togetherness, like they've said. I think for us it's also that we decide. For us, we do not have a specific time because we know people are working and all that. But then the thing is, either on 25th or on 1st, we all have to be together as a family. So I think it's always a discussion of between this date and this date, when are people more available, and that is done. And then I think the last thing will be like having family day outs. I think that is what we used to do. For us, you'll find that every Sunday probably we will go somewhere, maybe to the beach, and then our parents will bring us back and then go to a certain, not expensive. Right now we do, when we go, we want to do shawarma. I don't know what. By that time you just go there, do viazi or chapo mandondo and a juice or mtura and 50 bob, and we are like, this is a so very small things, but that were very very important. So I think for me those are some of the traditions that I feel they're very key, that if I manage to pass them down to my kids, then I'll be a very happy dad. Yes.
Unasema usipoosha uso haukunywi chai.
For me, I think I was brought up in a family whereby my dad was a bit strict with some things. And for a fact, I can say today that until I reached, I believe it was class 8 or 7, something of the sort, I never took time alone to come out of the house to go and know even where our town center is, because that would be war. What did you go and do? How safe are you on the road? So the traditions that at least I can inculcate in my younger upcoming generation, number one, back from what I was taught or what I have passed through, but mine is just to refine them, is number one, I'm always very strict in time. In our home, you are not working, you are still living in somebody's house. You are not allowed to come to the house anywhere past 4 p.m. So past 4 p.m., whose house are you going? Were you working? No. Where were you playing? With who? Where? So even me, that culture of time, you need to be in the house by this time, prepare early, go to sleep early. That is to my kids time. The second thing is I can recall when we were still young, every Sunday, whenever my dad would be at home, we were like, Dad, can we go? We come from the lake, ideally. So our beach is the lake. So we could tell, can we go to the lake and at least see the waves of the lake and such like stuff. But we used to go. So taking this young generation there, I believe it's something I'll continue here, and when I go back there, at least they see the difference. This is the ocean, this is the lake. They can, so that they can know the difference. Which water is blue than which one? Which sand is brown? Which sand is white? Very important. Then the other thing is about there is the togetherness part as a tradition, and this togetherness comes within now the society and the community and the neighbors. If I can go back to the previous question, in values, Back then, we used to have every year. I also participated, whereby we used to send Christmas just the same way we send for success cards for exam. We used to send Christmas cards, New Year cards. I believe I can teach my kids that, so that even in as much as you can't send to neighbors or such like such the community around, maybe they can send the cards to the relatives, because I believe it's an important thing, and it makes us also think of the togetherness within the society. Yes.
All right. I want to move to the next question, but I'm so impressed. Hey, this dad's over here. Hey, you are doing well. But I want to ask, as dads, do you have like fears? What do you fear when it comes to, raising your kid and all this?
I can start with that.
Start with Eric.
What's your like?
The only fear, which is the greatest fear that I believe every dad or every parent should have, is we are coming out of our normal tradition, copying the Western tradition, which to me, from where I sit, it's not right. So, what I fear is today I sit watching a movie, which most of these things, keep in mind, are being pressed on us. You can recall in US, if I'm not wrong, or if I'm right, I believe they passed the gay. There's some sect which passed the gayism and lesbianism act, and it is normal. For us, it's something that is being brought by force. Not that I'm against it, but in our African culture, it is not something that is to be there. I believe it is in Uganda where they said if you are caught, you're going in, you're being jailed. I think it is for lifetime or something like that.
You're given 90 days, and you within that period. If you are a lady, you must be pregnant. If you are a man, you must impregnate
So
each other.
these are the fears that I have, and I wouldn't wish to see the upcoming generation going into this line. Let us live a normal African culture line whereby this is the right thing. This is a girl I should marry, not this is a man I should marry a man, and a man and a man can never happen. Not anywhere in the world. Because that will mean adoption. And adoption, whoever you adopt is not your biological child. And in any case, if this kid grows up and tells you that you're not my dad, you're not my mom, it becomes a whole different topic again. So mine is just that is the greatest fear I have. What we watch and what is brought in our minds, and it is pumped there every other time because of the media. We watch them every day. Some of them are not parental guided. They just come, they pop in, you watch, and then you realize, oh, this thing has issue 1, 2, 3, 4. But that is my greatest fear. Yeah.
I think for me, I would say my greatest fear as a dad to my kids is um, one. I have two. I think mine personally. I think one is I just pray that God does not take me early. I always have this fear of what's gonna be my kids' lives in my absence, especially when they are still kids, and I have to be away or I have to be taken early by God. That is always my biggest fear. This is because I think as a parent, there's a way that I manifest on how I want my kids to grow. There is a way that I actually kind of bring up my kids, huh? And yeah, how I want to raise my kids. And I'm saying this is my biggest fear because sometimes I personally hold my kids going to either their to see their grandmothers or their grandparents or aunts because I'm very observant, and when they come back, I usually see that there's a bit of twitch on how I do the parenting and their bringing and how it happens back there. So I think for me, my biggest fear is not being able to see them achieve their potential and achieve their dreams, especially in my absence, because probably whoever I left, they were put into their hands as guardians, did not actually see that in them. And the second, I think it's something that I do not have control over. Maybe my colleague is actually afraid of the Western culture and everything that they it seems to be brought on us. But I think for me, it's my own government not setting the right environment for my kids to be able, or not just my kids, but for the future generation to be able to actually realize their dreams and their goals. And I think this is something that we are currently suffering already. If you see right now, we have a lot of people that have bachelors, have masters, but then where is the job? Where are the job opportunities, right? So that is my biggest fear. Like, what is going to be the end of my kid after, probably as a parent, they have really struggled as individuals to have a better future or bright future, but then it is what it is right now. Some of us do not have even a penny to eat, while some of our leaders are actually wearing like watches up to 900,000 Kenya shillings. So what does that mean? Yep.
I think for me, first I will agree with what they have said, uh, and then just add and say that for me, one of my greatest is ending up with a disappointed child, a child who feels disappointed, especially by the parent, especially by me as a father, where we feel that, a child feels. I think you may have seen on TikTok, there's a lady who is exposing her parents and saying that I want people to know that I am like this because of my parents. Janet, ending up with a child that is disappointed in you as a parent, that is not completely proud of you as a parent, I think that is my greatest. The second, which they have all alluded to in different perspectives, is the society we live in today. It is not a very child friendly or child safe society. And these are things that some of them we have control over, and some of them we completely have no control over. Like, we live in a society where I can't trust my daughter with my friend. Sometimes I can't even trust my daughter with my relative. I am afraid that maybe something could happen to them. That I'm only the only source of security for my child that I can be so guaranteed of. And I think that is so bad. We live in such a bad society that even sometimes siblings, you can't trust siblings with their own siblings. They need an adult supervision. And whatever we are doing wrong, I think as parents, we may want to really start getting it right. Because the dangers of today's society, from screen, from online sexual exploitation and abuse, to real physical abuse of children, that is my fear number two. Fear number three is ending up with a child who does not know how to navigate her ways in the modern society, who does not express herself, who has a low self-esteem, who who has trauma and does not know how to deal with the trauma. Some of these things we have a role to play, but some of the traumas that affect our children could be in a school environment, could be in children playing environment, could be things they have been exposed to completely without our awareness. And I think that ending up with a child who has a history of abuse, or of trauma of that nature, I think that really disturbs me. And those three are the real fears I have about having a child. The rest I think I can mitigate. Yeah.
Just to add on, I believe Previously, we spoke about values that we can inculcate in these young upcoming kids. So one of the other fears that maybe we might have is, as much as we try to put or to bring our kids to specific values so that they grow in a specific way, now they grow up doing the opposite thing.
Exactly.
So when that comes up, you now start scratching your head. Because I believe in this world, as much as we are in tough economic times, no kid was ever born to know that one day I'll become a very serious thug or be jailed because of robbery with violence. So that is the other thing that maybe we can always fear, because you believe as your kid grows up, in as much as maybe he goes to the university or college or a TVET, he might get something to do which will bring up his life. And as my teacher used to say in high school, at the end of the day, as a kid, you should always outdo what your father did. If your father was an MCA, you need to work hard to become an MP. If your father was an MP, you need to work hard to become a president and move the ladder up every other day. Yeah.
If your father was a corrupt MP, you should work hard and become an MP with. Yes.
So
Moral.
a morally upright one. So I think when my colleagues were talking, they actually brought me back to one fear that I think some of us when we are growing up, and this came up when he was talking of discontented or complaining kids. For me, I'd like to look at it in different angles. One, either from the kids part of being discontented with what the parents could provide, or the other angle, which is now my fear, is the parent not being able to provide for the kid. Because I think one thing when we all become fathers, not the aspect of learning to be fathers, but when we become fathers, it's automatic that when we are bringing up our kids, we first try to build there's a picture we build about our kids in our own minds, and I think that is what shapes us on how we want them to grow and how we do the upbringing. But now the aspect is my fear is an aspect of not being able to support my kid to actually reach the potential that I see they can or they do have. And I think this is what we see in terms of we see a lot of intelligent kids from poor families and all that. So I think mine is an aspect of how best can I actually be able to provide for my kid, because even if there's going to be support, whether it's wings to fly, I have a rich brother there that is going to support, but primarily it is my personal responsibility. So I think that also becomes a fear. And also having a kid that falls out of love with me as a parent, because whatever is being said, the reality is during the young, when, and my colleagues will agree to that, when you first get your kid, there's a lot of sacrifices that you make towards this kid. So we do not actually foresee the aspect of that kid coming to fall out of love with you as a parent, because at some point during their growing up, there's something, one or two things that you could not provide. Yes.
Wow, that is so tough. Anyway, while we wrap up, I would want to ask a question. Do you think that mothers or motherhood is celebrated more? You know,
Than being a father.
they are. As in, mothers. You know, like mothers are more. You know, celebrated of the work that they do compared to, dads do a lot of work. But it's not like it's seen.
Can I start?
Yeah, sure.
It's a very interesting question, because it might end up pitting fathers against mothers.
No, we're just talking. I want to hear you as men. Even when, for example, the kids were growing after your kids were brought into this world, and people came to visit. How was it? Was it like they were so much into the moms, side, celebrating them more
Let
than
me answer you.
All right.
I think we must always remember how balanced the society has now become in terms of the role of fathers versus the role of mothers, in terms of how mothers live their lives versus how fathers live their lives. While it is not true to say that mothers are more celebrated than fathers, but there are fewer deadbeat mothers than there are deadbeat fathers. The population also of mothers is more than that of fathers. Uchungu wa mwana aujuae ni mzazi, and the father does not get to go through the pain of childbearing. So that different perspective of life would naturally bring out the picture of a mother much more celebrated than a father. But the truth is that the role of celebrating fathers is on specifically on the mothers of these children and the children themselves. So that if the mothers do not celebrate the fathers will not feel celebrated. And if the children do not celebrate their fathers, the fathers will also not feel celebrated. In a scenario where we have a single parent family, and the single parent family that leads in terms of gender is single mothers. In that scenario where we have single parent families, there is a general negative attitude towards that father. And with that particular life, where there's a general negative attitude towards that father, the mother will continue to be celebrated, but the father will not be celebrated for obvious reasons, that he is absent. Remember, we say also that an absent parent makes no mistake, Janet. So and that is why you will see a child at 17 or 18 looking for the father and finding the father will start blaming the mother of the things the mother did not do and the way the mother kept them away from the father. And they will start hating their mother after getting the perspective of their father. But they will not see any flaw in this new father that they have just now come to meet because he was absent. So as we navigate whether or not mothers are more celebrated than the fathers, we must also look at how the society has been designed now. And it has been designed in a way to remember fathers are also few, so that someone could have gotten a child out of wedlock. That child also deserves a father. But this father is a full father somewhere, giving parental responsibilities direct to the children on a daily basis. Probably he has, you know of cases where one has 6 baby mamas. Remember, all these mothers are celebrated at individual level. But only one mother probably is celebrating this father. The rest are giving this father a middle finger.
So this, depending on how he's showing up.
Depending on how they're showing up.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that society has been designed, or is now we are living it. Then of course fathers will feel less celebrated. But what I want to encourage all fathers, no matter the circumstances, whether marriage did not work, whether you just got a child at the when you were confused, whether it was an accident, just be present. The more present you are to your child, whether you are married or not, you will be celebrated wherever you will be. And I really think that the role of being celebrated starts with how you relate with the mother of those children or that child. And I think we can do better as fathers.
How you relate with the mother and how you show up for your children.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct, Janet. Yeah, that's my response.
This question for me, it's kind of political. Very political. And not to focus on deadbeat dads, because I personally do not support. And for me, if you ask me, for me, there's a difference between a father and a dad. That's how I pick it on an individual basis. A father is just someone that got a woman pregnant and then we became a father because that woman decided I'm going to keep the pregnancy and now that the kid has a mother, automatically you become a father.
Yes.
But I think for me, a dad is someone totally different from a father. However, I think there's an imbalance. And to answer your question, are mothers celebrated more than fathers? It's a definite yes. And definite yes, because one, I will actually based on what he just said. Family setup, right? A family setup. In the family setup, you see, even as kids, leave alone a family that is headed by one person, even a family that is a complete family where it has a mother and a father. What happens? What do kids do? Kids, when they want something, they'll go and ask their mother. What does the mother do? The mother asks the father. The father provides, but then the father does not give it direct to the kid. The mother gives it to the kid. So at the end of it all, the kid knows that it is the mother who has provided. And I think it was making sense when you were saying that it's very important for the mothers to celebrate the fathers, right? But you see, in most instances, this is not something that usually happens. It's like at some point there's always competition to who gets to be celebrated. And in a way, mothers are very, very, let me use the word cunning. In terms of aspects, they're cunning in a way that they would sometimes not allow the father to have the credit that they deserve. Now because fathers do a lot behind the scenes.
That is the politics we were avoiding.
Fathers do a lot behind the scenes. You get? I wouldn't want to say that because biologically, like my colleague was saying, I knew if there was a point that mothers would say, I have done it for 5 months, please transfer to you for the next 4 months. I'm pretty sure that we will be sharing this thing, right? But biologically and how it is unfortunate that it is only the mother who is biologically actually made and presented to do that, right? But what are the roles of the dad behind? Some of us, we don't sleep when you women are actually pregnant because we keep being told shika hapa ameruka huku, shika huku ameenda huku. It is something that happens. Unfortunately, that is how limited we are at that specific.
Nataka kulamba vumbi ya lami. Saa 8 ya usiku.
You be sent out to get things that when you are back they say mimi sitaki tena. It is roles that we play, right? When actually the kid is not yet born. But when the kid is born, it happens. Let us not talk of parents, because sometimes they also want to look at how the family is set up. There are responsibilities that are primarily for the mother, and there are responsibilities that are primarily for the father, right? So I think it's an aspect of getting people to understand, and all as individuals getting to appreciate what each other can provide. A good thing is right now, if we all have, we have people that go back to the village when it's Christmas time or festive season. Just have a look at how things are happening. Most of the gifts that are being carried go to the mother. They don't go to the father. Right? Go to facilities, go to hospitals. It's very rare to find a woman, an old woman who has come to the hospital alone. But it's very common to have an old man who has come to the hospital alone. This is just how the shifting is. And for me, I don't know where we get the balance. I don't know how we do to make it balance. But I think men also deserve to be celebrated.
Thank you.
I've just been reminded of something. When you're in high school, when you're in high school, your mom comes to visit with a bag full of food from home. But when your dad comes to visit you, he comes with a newspaper.
Brings your handkerchief.
He comes with a
newspaper. Oh my goodness.
But at some point, ladies are more celebrated than men. But ideally, I believe men are always celebrated in the green tent huko nyuma, because I believe most men, we work like I believe we don't care, but we always have that soft spot in us that at the end of the day makes you feel like, in as much as all this credit goes to somebody else, but he doesn't care. or it doesn't matter. As much as I know, I've played my part well. So that is why you also find within a calendar year we have Women's Day, we have Mama's Day, you have What's Day. I believe 3 or 4 or 5.
These days, the International Women's Day is not a day anymore. It's a whole month.
Now it's a month, but what for fathers? I don't know even if we have, maybe it's one and it's never vocalized like ladies, Mama's Day, Women's Day or such like stuff. But for me, I believe in as much as women are more celebrated because of what they go through. Because let's take an example of we are in a bad political situation, and who are the most affected people? Women and children. So I believe that is what makes ladies more celebrated than men. Because as a man, I know how to survive. I will get my ways survive, but a lady yeye ndiye atapatikana pale kwa ground na atapatikana na mtoto, ameshika mtoto na anabeba mates wakienda kutafuta vile watajipanga huko mbele. But all in all, as men, personally I'm happy if I'm not celebrated so that everybody loudly. I like when men are celebrated huko nyuma ya tent, so that let it not be vocal like we have to be, or we are beating the table that it has to be. I'm happy because, or I'm happy when it's a silent celebration for men. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. But at one point, I think for women, we are always louder. You know, like we like the attention of, being celebrated. That's why we celebrate each other in those days. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for coming to today's show, making the time to be here. It means a lot. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you to you, our viewers, for watching this video till the end. We appreciate you. Please like this video, comment, leave a comment. We'd like to hear, if you're a dad, we'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section, and share with your friends. See you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.